Welcome back to the Man Cave. It's time for the ManTFUp Podcast. I'm Kimmy B, and you are, sir.
Lenny.
That's right. All right, Len, you are in for it today. Before we go any further, though, please, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, share, follow, any and everywhere. We try to put up a new podcast every single week, unless I get flaky, of course. But we've been pretty consistent since we started. Len, we've done like 24 of these.
This will be our 25th.
Oh, my God. It's almost
It's
a
like
half
a silver
year.
anniversary.
It's almost 6 months.
That's a silver anniversary. We're having our
Crazy
silver
town.
anniversary.
You ain't taking me to dinner once.
Not true. Bourbon.
Oh, that's right. Also, did you end up paying that night, or did somebody else
Of
pick
course.
up?
No, I paid.
Oh,
I paid for us.
You were. That was precious. Thank you. It was kind of business, though. I was just saying, if we're celebrating the anniversary, there were a bunch of other people there.
I've invited you a few times.
I ended up in a
You're too
screaming
busy.
fit with somebody. I was quite the embarrassment, actually. So my apologies.
Whatever.
For that. I was me. He's like, at least she's entertaining.
Yeah.
Lenny, you're good for that, though. Like, what would it take for somebody to actually embarrass you?
To embarrass me? That's a good question. I don't know. My kids could probably do it. Because that's a direct reflection on me.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
You know?
Yep.
So that's you know. I mean, early on, my wife learned never open your mouth and contradict me if I'm saying something
I love the way
that
you
might
word
not
that.
might be exaggerated.
So basically, don't call you out on your fishtails.
Yes. I had to explain that to my son the other day when we were going to look at a new car. I'm like, if they ask anything about the Raptor, and I say, no, it's all good, don't say, but Dad, you know?
Remember when you went off-roading and you broke the front axle?
Yeah, so, you know, it's, you know, those that kind of stuff that my kids could embarrass me if.
I feel like that'd be more like a manners thing or something.
Yeah,
If they
I mean,
didn't shake
but
somebody's hand.
my kids don't
I know.
embarrass me, so it doesn't really matter. But someone else, no, I think it's
Okay.
funny.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Len's like, Kim, woosah. He's like, your scallops are here. The food's getting cold.
You know.
And I'm like, shut up. I'm having
Just because I brought some crazy bitch to dinner doesn't mean, you know,
Are you calling me a bitch?
it's not going to bother me.
You just
No, I'm just saying in general. I'm not
Very
talking about you.
because I'm talking about a very specific situation.
Oh, no,
and you're
no.
generalizing,
I'm
and folks at
generalizing.
home watching and listening might be confused as to whether or not you just referred to me as a bitch, which did not happen for the record.
But crazy's okay.
Crazy's okay. Crazy's okay. We're all situationally crazy, and that conversation took me to that place, but it's all love. Speaking of things that take me to that place, my job takes me to that place. We have talked ad nauseum about work things on the ManTFUp podcast, but I think that's because for both of us, Lenny, so much of our lives revolve around work.
Yeah.
Right?
And dealing with other people.
And other people. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's a great point of reference. There's headlines we see in the news, on social media, stories that people tell us about situations that they've come in contact with, and then things we experience every day.
Firsthand.
Yeah. And I gotta say, recently, I had a situation at work with a person who's a member of our team, and it's starting to frustrate me because, you know, the longer you work with people, I think the more the boundary, it's like dating, right? The more the boundaries come down, and you can only put your good foot forward all the time for so long, right? It's kind of like, you know, what is it, like the six month mark in a relationship, you start to see the real person. If they've been trying to put on a front, like the crazy girl who's trying to pretend like she's not crazy, she can only be not crazy for so long,
Yes.
right? Before all of a sudden she cracks
Yeah.
and you see the crazy.
You know, and also with that comfort level comes, you know,
vulnerability.
yeah, it comes with, I mean, the more comfortable you get with somebody, the more you push boundaries, the more you do this, the more you do that. And then one day the motherfucker snaps and you don't even know why.
So here's the thing. This is a blessing and a curse. I'm pretty much who I am all the time. Good, bad, ugly, all of it. Like, I don't really know how to tailor. I can fit in anywhere. So that's a different situation. But like in a work scenario, like I'm intense, if you can't tell. If you've watched any of these, I'm sure you can tell. And I take my job very seriously, and I have very high expectations for my team, but the expectations are nothing that I don't put on myself, right? And I also will always go to bat for my team. I will never throw you under the bus to anybody. I believe what happens in a studio in the man cave happens here, right? Like, I will joke with Len about making me cry, and I know that he's sensitive about that sometimes, but it's because I love you. Like, and I don't take, like, we can be in that space and it doesn't affect what we do when we sit down to shoot a podcast or if we go out to cover something else. You know what I mean? Like, we have an incredible personal relationship, and then, but even if we were to get in the worst fight ever, we could still come in and do a podcast.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't even think so. Like, I know so, because we've literally had some moments and then sat down and shot.
But I'm a man, so, I forget things instantly.
Okay. You know what?
What were we fighting about a half hour ago?
So thank you.
Why is my dinner cold? What did I do?
I appreciate
that was
the segue.
so fucking yesterday.
I appreciate the segue because clearly that is not a carte blanche rule, because the person that I'm talking about is also a man, and he certainly doesn't forget things. And it's beginning to frustrate me a little bit because, like, if you have to criticize or critique something that he does, and he plays a very important role on the team, he can't come back from it. Like, and the more intense it is, the more obvious that it's fucking with him is. And, what we do is a high pressure situation. Like, if you watch the podcast and I also do morning radio. Miami's a very big market. You know what I'm saying? And again, I stress the word live. This is not a pre-recorded show. Every time we crack the mics, it is us, having a conversation. And there's a lot of pieces that go into that, taking callers, and now you have things happening on the app, and there's contesting, and there's topics, and we're playing back clips, sometimes of the ManTFUp Podcast.
It's like air traffic control.
Yeah, and his role is really the facilitator of all of the technical behind-the-scenes things. And, with time, people get very quick at it. Now, here's the deal. Both myself and my co-host have sat in that seat and have done all of it. We've conducted the train. You know what I mean? We've been first chair. We've run the mics. We've taken the calls. We've done the editing. We've run the board. We've done all of it. Like, I've been that person. There's videos on Facebook that you can see me literally. And I might tell somebody, shut up, I'm trying to edit. Like, I'm that person, and then I'll come back behind it. That wasn't really about you. But he just doesn't deal well. It's not that he doesn't deal well with pressure, but when he fucks up or he perceives that you feel he fucked up, he just shuts down. And as a person who's like, listen, I'm all for being in your feelings. I'm not telling you don't be emotional about it. Don't be hard on yourself. I'm not, because I'm super hard on myself. But in this environment, you got to keep it moving. It's kind of like in football when, there's a saying about defensive backs, like if they get burned on a play. Yeah. Or even for a wide receiver, or a quarterback, if you throw an interception, it's selective amnesia. You've got it, like, that play never happened, right? And that's kind of how radio is. It's how this is. I think it's how business is. You make a bad decision in business, you can't dwell on it, right? You can't walk into the next day and it's hanging over your head. Like, you got to keep it moving. What's next? And he just can't. What's next? And I'm just like, I watch him, and today I ended up having to text my co-host. I was like, yo, the attitude and the sulking, and then it becomes slowness because it's impacting his ability to actually function and do the job that we need him to do. And I'm like, and I clearly already don't have patience. Like, and I'm honest about that. I'm super honest about that. But again, I expect that because it's what I expect of myself, and I've done that job. So, buddy, either do it or get the fuck out of the seat, and I'll come over there and do it. And I think you want your job. So, and then I look like a bitch because I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the nicest person before the show and after the show. You can cry on my shoulder. You know what I mean? We can talk about therapy together. I'm going to give you, I'm going to manifest with you. I'm going to do affirmations with you when the fucking show is done, when it's done. But while we're working, get the fuck over it. Put on your big boy pants and man the fuck up.
You're asking for a lot.
How?
You're asking because people aren't wired like that. It's funny because that just like makes me think about Joey playing basketball. Like they have a good team, right? The travel league team. It's a good team. But the minute they miss a couple shots, get down by 5, get down by 8, they're like lethargic. I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? And I try to stress to my kids that Okay, you fell. Get the fuck up. You know.
Yeah.
The play's still going. Get the fuck up. You know, you missed a shot. Doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a hard thing for people. You know, they get flustered. They get all up in their feelings. Okay, and it's strange because I deal with a lot of different people, and trust me, everybody fucks up. Everybody fucks
Hi.
up. Oh, listen, I
Fuck up on the
I
regular.
fuck up. You know, I fuck up a lot. You know, when I fuck up big shit. You know, it's just the point is, you know, some people here might think I like to micromanage. No, I like to have things done the way I want them done. It's my company. This is what I want to do. I want it done this way. You know, you got a better way? We'll talk about it. But, you know.
By the way, that is a management style.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not necessarily a negative thing because some people actually enjoy being micromanaged. There are people out there who like to be told exactly what to do, what is expected of them, how to do it, and they will knock that shit out of the ballpark.
I feel you. And there's certain things that, look, you want to take it on your own? Okay, go ahead. Go run with it. Fall on your face. I don't care. If you do it, great. If you don't, great. But and I'm also big on people just owning your shit. Own your shit.
But like,
you know?
so if you say that, so for because I think not that we're in different situations, but you're the boss, so it's a little bit different. I'm not necessarily the boss. We're very much in a team situation, right? But for you, when you say own your shit or like fall on your face, it's kind of like, okay, when you come back, it's almost like a dog that I don't want to call the employees dogs, but you get the point. It's almost like coming back and at least being able to say, like, my bad. I tried it my way and it didn't work, Len. But like being able to own that.
My team brings me ideas. Okay, great. This idea looks good. How much is it going to cost us? $1,000. I'm like, all right, go ahead, set it up, get it doing, see if it works. You know, I'm not crying over the $1,000 we lost. Don't try and say, oh, well, but because of this, because of that, because of this. No, because it didn't work.
Yeah,
That's it, but it didn't work. You know, if you make a mistake, fine, we'll fix it. We'll do whatever. I mean, it's just say, hey, I made a mistake. Let's go on, you know?
It's the excuses. It's the extra. It's the conversation after, or the you know, in the immediate aftermath of something that can make or break, I think, how somebody like you or I responds or feels about you as a team member. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I have no problem with you explaining what happened, especially if I don't understand what happened. If I ask you what the fuck just happened, it's like, why did we have in radio dead air, or why did that call, like, oh, this, okay, cool. But when it's like the constant, and it's like, no, you fucked up, you didn't pull this, you weren't ready, you weren't paying attention, you're slow, like that's where I start to get frustrated.
I'm not here, you know, I got something on my mind, sorry, I'm running a little slow today, I'm gonna try and work it out.
Yeah,
just that's it. Own it,
and then fuck off. Get it together.
Yeah.
Because like we don't have there's some careers and jobs where you don't really get time to be in your feelings. Again, like I said, I'm all for feeling the feels. Sorry, excuse me. Always. But do it before or do it after. Like, and when you work in entertainment, it's like an athlete, right? You don't get to bring the fight you had unless it's going to help your game with your wife. And I hate to always make sports references. It's just the other thing that I understand and have been around a lot. With you onto the field. Unless you know for a fact that frustration will make you do your job better. But most of the time it does not. It's a distraction, right? So what do? You compartmentalize. Whoop, this goes over here. Now I come out and we're focused on what's right here. We're on the radio for 4 hours a day.
That's a long time.
But you can compartmentalize for 4 hours. Right? I've had to do it. I've been going through, I told Len before we started the podcast, you know, horrible breakup where literally I would get up in the morning, go to work. When I was done with my show, done with everything, I'd go to the gym, I'd go home, I would take NyQuil. I don't recommend this at home because I just wanted to sleep. Like, and anybody who's ever been through heartbreak understands that when all you want to do is be awake the hours that you need to be awake and just not be awake the other hours, right? Crying all the time. But when I got on that mic, you had no idea what was going on. My friends used to think that I was like that. They were like, this is scary. Because I'd be having like the late night conversation. Oh my God, hold on for me. so they'd be like, girl, you were literally just doing the cry. Like, how did you just turn it on and off? And it's like, that's my job, right? It's not my audience's fault that my boyfriend's a dick. Like, right? And unless I want to share that part of it. But I can only share that when I'm not going to literally be hysterical crying, because that impacts the quality. You know what I'm saying? And now we're on a podcast and I can sit here and talk about that moment in my life. And I share stories like that on the radio all the time. But you have to learn how to separate, personal from business. And again, I don't know if I'm going to get dragged for saying that. I don't know if that
that's
insensitive.
That's another issue, because when you work on a close-knit team, you tend to get personal.
No. And can I tell you something? I want that. Like, because I work so much, I look at the people that I work with as family. You know what I mean? They're just an extended, like, I want you to come to my house. Let's have dinner. We can go out, like all of that. But that also means you have to know that when I'm critiquing or criticizing, and I expect a little bit of leeway. The same way, even if you fuck up, I'm going to forgive. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I may come down on you hard.
Listen, if you become part of a family team like that, a work family, a team, people are going to expect you to perform at the level that they perform at. It's just that fucking simple. There's not a job in any of my shit that I wouldn't do myself. There's nothing. I take out the trash. I'll fucking mop the floor. I'll vacuum up the fucking dirt. I don't care. It's just, and I expect the same from the people around me. It's just, if I'm gonna make 110% effort, and you're gonna be part of a team, you got to make that same 110%.
But I guess the other part that frustrates me a little bit, though, is coming, and now I'm gonna make it about men versus women, because as a woman, if my reaction to being criticized was the same as this person, right, this member of my team's reaction, the conversation behind closed doors, or the conversation right to my face, because I am a part of a team like that where we don't hold things back, would be, get the fuck out of your feelings. Like, stop being like you're being emotional. Like, get over it, right? Like, such a woman. This is, this is why, this is why people think women are so emotional, right? And it's just funny to me, because in business, I'm a dude, I've been around a lot of strong dudes. Like, I'm kind of like, I don't want to call myself an alpha, but I guess maybe a little bit. I have no problem going toe to toe with you. If it has to do with the quality of the product we're putting out, if it has to do with super serving a client, like, I've had fights with salespeople, but it's not out of disrespect. It's, I want to make sure you look the best, I look the best, our station looks the best, we all eat, we all make money, and the client continues to spend with us, right? Like, that's the goal here, isn't it? And if I have to talk to you a little gruffly or a little more aggressive than you're used to in order for you to get the point, because you're slacking, not me, I'm going to do that, because at the end of the day, I have both of our best interests at heart, because we're on the same team. And that has definitely come back to bite me in the ass. I've, difficult, demanding, she's combative, aggressive. Like, it makes me laugh. But a dude that does this is a leader, and it's demanding, but in a different way.
He's a little bit of an asshole,
yeah,
but
he gets the job done. You know what I'm saying? But he gets the job done. And I'll tell you what, that is literally what anybody I've ever had one of those conversations with, bet you their fucking client to this day is still talking about me, or came with me when I left my old state. You know what I'm saying? Like, that works. That level of service that I expect from you is the same level of service I expect myself to provide for your client, right? Like, so why do I care more about your client than you do? Why I can't care more about this product that we're putting out on the radio than you do, when you are the last line of defense, right? And that to me is like, I don't know if it's just a pride thing that I don't know where that comes from, but I don't give myself the option of being in my feelings for the 4 hours I have to do my job.
I get that too, but in your I don't want to say defense, but in the defense of women in the workplace, you have had to fight more for the same things that men get, straight out there. So that's probably made you a little tougher and a little more, structured and, difficult.
Sure. I'll take it. Whatever.
I mean, it's part of it. But that's the difference between successful women who embrace what they have. Yeah, it wasn't easy. It was harder than any man had to go through. Mm-hmm. But you did it, and you're there. So now I'm at this level. I'm not letting anybody drag me down. Yeah. So you have more to lose because it was harder for you to 100%, get.
100%. And I won't get the opportunity as quickly as either one of them will. For sure.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. So yeah. You're going to be, you should be more aggressive and more concerned and more critical of what's going on.
But you're not that you're a tough one to talk to, but I know you've just always been an entrepreneur and you've kind of always been your own boss. But it's like, as you're saying that in defense and you might be a little bit more aggressive, it's like, I'm thinking of my tone. Like in the conversation I had today with my co-host was exactly that. I'm like, yo, do you think your tone isn't aggressive? And he's like, I know that it is, but if I'm doing it, then you can't do it too. And I'm like,
men can be assholes.
That's what I'm saying. And it's so fucking unfair because at the end of the day, it's like respected when it's a man. And when it comes from a woman, it's like, what do you want me to do? Fucking like make you a milk bottle? I don't get it. Like, why can't I be as hard? Why can't I have the same expectations for you without being demanding over the top? Like, and I don't care. Like, if that's how you want to look at me, like, I pride myself on that because I'm good at what I do. And the fact that we teach, I don't know. Like,
you got part two to this too, which is, men, depending on how they're raised, might not take criticism the same from women as they do from men.
Man the fuck up. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter who the criticism is coming from.
Am I saying it should matter? I'm not saying it should matter. I'm just saying that you have to look inside of the man you're talking to. And
no, because you're not looking inside the fucking woman that you're talking to. Not in business.
I feel you.
Not in business. And that I think is the difference. When we talk about equality, I get it. But when for me, when I think of feminism and I think about equality, it's not about burning a bra. Like, it's not about those things. To me, it is literally being able to walk into a place of business and not only be paid what my male peers are being paid.
But get the respect that's 100%. Deserved of your position.
Like, but also just not have that be the sentiment. Like, oh, she's so mean. Like, why? Because I'm a woman. Like, I'm only mean because I'm a fucking woman. Like I don't know what you expect from us. Like, I'm a boss. Like, I don't want to say like I'm a boss, but it's you wouldn't be as taken aback by, like, you think any of your male counterparts are going to take into consideration how the fuck you feel about what they're saying?
Well, but there's a flip side to that too.
Sorry, I'm swearing.
His feelings, if he got all up in his feelings like that around alpha males, mm-hmm. they might just let him have it. Like, yo, what's the matter with you? Why are you crying? I mean, it's like,
well, and the thing is, it's not even that. It's not even a crying thing.
But you know what I'm saying.
No, I do. But because here's the deal. There's emotional, like, and it's like, and you're pouting, and then there's just where you can tell that it's impacting your job, right? Where you're thinking about it and you're dwelling on it, and it's now like you can dwell on it when we're done here. Mm-hmm. Dwell on it while you're sitting in traffic on 95 going home. I'm not saying don't dwell. I'm not saying don't think about things. I'm a dweller myself. I will go home and run over, and you don't get to hide behind the whole I'm my hardest critic, I'm my biggest critic. So am I. But again, what I'm not going to do is allow one mistake right now to fuck up whatever I've got going on while I'm doing my job for the rest of this day, this moment, whatever this is, right? Like, you can dwell when you leave. You have to learn to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep it moving. Like, I'm not saying don't feel the feels. I'm not saying don't be mad that I talked to you away. And then on top of it, address it with me. I'm here for it. Like, yo, you were out of line. I apologize. That was not my intent. I know, and I'll tell you, I know I can be aggressive. I can be highly, highly competitive when it comes to what we're doing. It's about expectations, and I'm sorry if I spoke to you out of turn.
I just wanted you to get back in the game.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I want to have the conversation, and I guarantee you, if I hurt you, I will apologize for it. Not you, Lenny, but to most people. You and the other one, I'm not apologizing to. I'm just kidding.
Well, you have to hurt us.
Well, there you go. But do you know what I'm saying? Like, but even if I cross, like, if I said something and I can be reckless, I know this. You know what I mean? Because again, especially if you're in that situation.
Is that because you're a woman?
Men are. Men are more reckless than women are. Never mind. See, I'm not going there. I'm not going to do it because that would be something I'll end up having to apologize for, and I'm not going to. So I'm not going to make my own point.
Damn, she didn't take the bait.
No,
I wish Laz was here.
Right? I'm sure he wishes he was here for this one too. But no, it's just it's frustrating on a few different levels. And I guess when we talk about workplace and we talk about equality, like it's one of those things where people talk to me about adjusting it, and I'm now just like, no, I don't want to, because at the end of the day, it's about leveling up. Like I'm constantly pushing myself to be better, to do better. Now, being a total and complete cunt bucket, not okay. Not okay. Like, but I'm not picking on your weight. Like, I'm not coming for you. This is literally about performance and accountability and getting the job done. Like, I'm not a mean-spirited individual like that. Like, I'm not just being an asshole to be an asshole. So I think that there comes a point in time where it's like, if you step back and I've had to
when
deal
it comes
with that.
to game time, you're the coach, and you want to be out there screaming, get it done.
But it's because it's made me better.
I feel
like, do you know what I mean? Like, even the person that I work with, again, Laz, like him and I, oh my God, when I tell you some of the fights that we've had, holy shit. But it made him better. It made me better.
Did he ever make you cry?
Did he make me cry? Yeah. Well,
if you have to think about it, then.
No, we had the conversations that we've had are just highly charged, are just charged and emotional conversations. I honestly don't have those conversations with Laz.
You just fight
for that reason. No. They just really wouldn't go.
More sexual tension?
No. Ew. Don't be disgusting. Absolutely fucking not. No. Get this. Come here. Come back with the camera. Absolutely not. No to the sexual tension. No. But I pick and choose my battles, Len. You and I can have certain very heated conversations, and I know that we will bounce back from it. There's other people that I just choose to avoid having those conversations with. It's kind of why we have this podcast, right? Mm-hmm. We've gotten to that place where there's more people that people choose to avoid having those conversations with than there are people that they're willing to engage in that.
Because you want those people to stay in your life, and you want to be
Yeah,
friends with them on some level. Why?
Exactly.
Why go someplace that could ruin
Especially if you already know how they feel. You know what I mean? If you already know that you fundamentally disagree on something that is charged in that way, just avoid it. Avoid it. But no, like literally, I'm an eye roller. So oh my goodness, I told you, I used to like make the vein, and I'd be like, you're gonna have a heart attack, and he'd get so mad. I love you. So yeah, like I mean, I'm flawed, heavily flawed, and again, I admit that though, and it's like I guess maybe that's where I have a problem with other people, because I see nothing wrong with owning your flaws, right? And then telling people who you are. These are the things that trigger me. These are the things that push my buttons. And once you start to own those things, I think it can make you better. You know what I mean? But this particular individual just needs to realize, like, yo, being in your feelings is cool, but not right now. It's like, imagine a doctor, right? Losing their shit, like you've got something, you're doing a surgery.
Oops, I cut that. Oh my God, I can't do anything else.
Doc, like we see it all the time, like on ER, right? Like, doc, what are you doing? Like, oh shit, you know what I mean? But imagine they just got completely out of their game, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you know how many lives would be lost? Yeah. You can't. You've got to be able to like take it, put it in the back of your mind, and go, hey, I'm gonna come back to this later. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I don't know how to broach that subject with.
I think you're doing it right now.
Like you said, no, with a man though, like, and to your point, like with a dude, because again, not emotional. He's not a pussy. He's not. It's not that.
Yeah.
But it's like you're literally watching somebody crumble under the pressure, right? And you're like, it's not that fucking serious. Like, because you're good. You're good at what you do. You made a mistake, right? Or
Yeah, shit happens.
So what do you do in that situation though? Like, as the boss, what do you do?
If I make a mistake?
Well, no. Like, if you have employee, like, how do you get people out of that space? Like, when we talk about ManTFUp and encouraging that in people.
Listen, I'm an asshole. It's just clear. I'm very aggressive. I'm very outspoken.
Oh, great. I'm fucking Lenny.
I haven't.
Shit.
Not literally.
Yeah, I didn't mean it that way. Ow, I just hit myself in the head.
So I haven't, the people that are around me,
Yeah.
short of family, don't really, they bounce right back from it. They
Do you hire that way?
It's, you see, we have a very light staff, and it's mainly because, I just need people that are, like-minded, thick-skinned. I mean, because this is just the environment we live in. Everybody, I've tried to hire women, and I have to tell them up front, I'm like, hey, we're a testosterone company. It's called ManTFUp Up. You might hear us talking about fat bitches or some shit like that. Just don't take it personally. You can't take it personally. I try not to set myself up for that kind of issue because it's clear it's going to happen. We're guys sitting around. It's funny because our team in India, one of the girls there, they're very, and I crack Indian jokes all day long. I'm like, hey, did you fucking have your cousin Crank call me again, Rakesh? It's like, So my team, luckily, bounces back. Some people don't take it as well. The criticism, I get to a point with people where, and I've told Nestor this, I'll give people enough rope to hang themselves. Do you know what I mean? It's like after a certain amount of that back and forth where we're getting nowhere type of thing, I'll just cut them loose and, hey, you're sorry, but you're on your own. And it's difficult. It's difficult for me to deal with people like that. I just don't
understand. I guess maybe in the corporate structure, like because obviously there's no HR here. You are HR. Yeah. So it's like if you have a complaint, it's bring it to HR. He's right here, and he's probably the source of your complaint.
Just drop it in that box right there.
Probably the source of your complaint. Drop
it in that silver file cabinet right there.
But to me, I feel like if you're walking on, and it's funny because I've always been in corporate because clearly
that's
rare.
eggshell society.
Well, it's rare that you own a radio station, right, or a television station or whatever, independently. And I can remember sitting in a meeting, and it was supposed to be one of those meetings, right, where HR is there, but they're encouraging everybody to speak openly. Well, if you encourage me to speak openly, I'm going to speak openly. And they're like, you can see the look on their face. And I'm like, listen, if I what the fuck you, it's out of love. Like, you know what I mean? If I come for you in that way, like, and it seems aggressive, it's never going to be personal. Like, I'm never coming at you on some personal shit. Like because I love you. Like, that's not what this is. If I'm coming at you aggressively, it's about business. And as a company, you should be encouraged by that because it's kind of like, okay, she's trying to super serve our client. She just wants to win. She wants to do the best job that she can. And she's holding other people accountable to that. And I'm just like, we should be able to have these conversations with one another and still respect, because they come from a place of respect. And it's amazing how many people will look you in your face and say that, but then when they're in that situation,
they totally do.
Definitely cannot handle it. Or then we'll go to HR and we'll be on that whole like, yeah, so I'm intimidated or like whatever. And it's like, intimidating how? Like, I literally just bought your kid a first communion outfit. I don't I don't know. It bugs me out because why doesn't everybody just want to be great? And I know I sound like DJ Khaled right now.
Funny.
But
that's funny.
But if we're pushing each other to be the best that we can be and we're holding each other accountable, like, as much as I may not like what you have to say, if I fuck something up and you tell me that, I may push back a little bit, but when I leave,
not everybody takes their job that seriously. Not everybody has a work ethic or a drive for that kind of excellence. They just don't have it.
But is it really about that, or is it about understanding? I think there's a bigger humanity question there in the sense of taking the time to think about where somebody is coming from when they're saying it, right? Is it coming from a place of malice? Is it coming from a place of disrespect? Is it coming from
well, that goes back to my HR questionnaire. If we're talking about some nasty shit, we're not talking about you. We're just men, and we're talking about some nasty shit. And if you happen to overhear it, don't let it get up in your
the
feelings.
funny thing is, women talk about nasty shit too.
Yeah,
like,
but
stop
you know,
playing.
I mean, we make fun of fat girls or this or that, you know.
And we make fun of little dicks. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
there you go.
I mean,
except the only in a man's defense, you really can't tell he's got a little dick, but you can tell she's a fat bitch.
well, you can tell. You can tell if he's a big fat slob.
Yes,
that
yes.
his dick, no matter how big it is
Yeah, he
probably
ain't ever
going to
gonna
be
see it.
dwarfed
Yes.
by that. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can do this. Like, and that's the thing is like everybody needs to stop playing. Like when it comes to business, because I feel like I know that we have the gender conversation all the time, but like in business situations, I would really prefer that we don't see it that way. And we don't get to pick and choose. As women, we don't get to pick and choose. Either you want it to be equal across the board, right? Or it's going to be
Male chauvinist pig.
like, I know that sounds crazy to say, but it's like, you know, why? I don't know. Like, I don't know. Because now this conversation is going in a different direction. But I'm like, as we're talking about this, it's like you having to warn women, right, about the climate of your company, right? It's why should you have to curb what makes you guys you and what makes this gel and vibe and work, because you've now added somebody else who came and applied for the job. I love that you give them the option, like, hey, this is what it is. And again, it's knowing yourself. Don't put yourself in a situation like I'm
Yes,
okay with
that's
that.
a big-
I'm okay
that's a
with
big
locker room
thing.
talk. I'm okay with being around male chauvinists because that, you know, if you cross the line and Lenny knows it, I've been like, what the fuck are you talking? Like, I have no problem saying.
I would love to
doesn't
hear
change
like a
him.
female basketball reporter in the HR department. You know, I mean, what is she going to say if she goes into the locker room to interview basketball players after a game?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so
no, it's different. It's different if somebody disrespects her.
Listen,
but
if
overhearing
you're
conversation.
But if you're putting yourself in that kind of position, you clearly are putting. You're walking into a men's locker room with a bunch of guys who are charged up after winning a game.
What? So they should be able to slap you in the ass? Absolutely not.
No, I didn't say touch. Did I say touch? But you're going to see things, hear things.
Yeah, but
you know.
they don't need to be directed at you.
Well,
That's like
if
you're
you're
not.
the only woman walking to a room full of men,
Now
you're going to get.
now
There
you're
might be
taking-
some heckling.
Now you're taking this.
No, I'm
that,
just saying
no,
you're putting.
no better.
You're
Be
putting
better.
yourself in a position.
No, she's just trying to do her job. Let me do my job because you're not doing that same shit. I just said equality. You're not hollering at the dude that just walked in. So it's different. That's what I'm saying. When I'm saying
some of the
equality
guys might.
no, they're not.
You never
It's
know.
still professional sports. I'm not saying that they're not thinking it. That I'm not saying. But they're probably
they're probably
outwardly.
not gonna, they're not going to
outwardly
They're
howl.
not going to howl it because of their.
No. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
but they're the ones who are howling at the girl when she walks in.
But my point is, I'm going to definitely draw the line there and disagree. Equality is equality, and how you would treat a male reporter is exactly how you should treat a female reporter. And she should expect the locker room talk around it. Now, if you're talking about the baddie that was sitting in the row behind the team bench, that's a different situation. I smutted her out. Yeah, you don't get to go to HR because you overheard that conversation. Now, what you can do is be like, ooh, ladies, you want to get some Twitter pub? You know what I mean? I'm not going to name names, but if you live in Detroit, just know there was some conversations happening in the locker room. You know what I mean? But no, like to me, you don't get to be sensitive. Like I walked into ManTFUp knowing exactly what I was walking into. I can't come in here demanding change and now all of a sudden you be PC. Now I can ask you, we've had many conversations about that, Len. Why do you feel the need to use this word, or why do you feel the need to say this? But I have yet to tell you stop calling women bitches. And y'all can get mad at me if you want to, but that is Lenny and that is what it is. And I personally am not offended by it because I call women bitches.
Yes, I'm clearly just quoting Snoop.
Okay, you're not doing that, but okay. Own your shit.
Bitches in the living room. Getting it on. I sing as good as you.
That's the one rap reference I've ever heard you make in life.
I know a lot of them.
Okay. Well, my point is, I didn't come in here trying to change anybody. I'm comfortable with it, and that's the other thing. I'm not going to play sensitive, you know what I mean, when, again, I say, what's up, bitch? Like, again, you know, we had that conversation with Stella and whatever. So I want equality, and I don't want to have to take into consideration who or what I'm like that part of it, because again, when we're off the air and we're done working and we go back to our personal relationship, then I'm going to ask you all of the questions. Do you know what I'm saying?
Let's go back to the other end of the spectrum. Let's say you guys didn't get along at all outside of the work environment. You're still going to expect them to do
100%.
the best job.
100%.
You know?
I've never not gotten along. Like, that's very difficult for me, Lenny, to work in a place where if I don't like you out, if I don't like who you are as a person.
If there's one person that, you know, you don't want to have anything to do with outside of our job, which is this, you know,
Lenny,
4 or 5 hours
imagine
a day.
we didn't like each other outside of this.
Yeah, well.
I don't think we could do this. Like,
I feel you, but, like, you know, what if you didn't like Nestor? You wouldn't have a problem.
I don't like Nestor.
I know.
I love Nestor. I'm just kidding.
But I'm just saying, like, if you didn't like Nestor,
Yeah.
you could still sit here and do this with me.
Yeah.
So
But this particular situation, I understand what you're saying in the grand scheme of
yeah,
things.
and you want Nestor to do the best job possible.
Always, yes.
Yeah, so, you know.
Yeah, I take that back. I've definitely worked with people that I did not vibe with, you know, but I didn't have to spend that much time. I think it's different when you spend an intimate level of time. Like again, with what I do, it's a very hard reference point unless you work in a very close-knit kind of situation like that where you spend a lot of time discussing, again, charged topics, things like...
Yeah, and it's also someone else who can make you look good or bad.
Yes.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
You're putting your trust in someone else's hands, basically.
Yeah. Well, like, but for you, like, I don't think if you didn't... Well, I mean, you probably could. You're really good at, I think... separating. Like, if Nestor was incredible, sorry, Nestor, we're using you. If Nestor was incredible at what he does and you just hated him as a person, could you do it?
You know, in maybe in the short term, like if I needed Nestor to do something and you know, then that was the end of it. But no, I couldn't work with people every day.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like you spend a lot of time with Nestor. Like, you guys do a lot together. Like, so again, it's being around somebody like that you don't like. Like,
I mean, he's a little creepy sometimes, but
yeah,
no, I can't. There is people that I've worked with that I can't fucking stand. You know, but if I for some reason I want them to work with me, or you know, whatever the case may be, I'll just make a separation between me and that person, and you know, here it's about work. Communicate what I need to communicate, and the rest of it's, you know, I'm out here.
Yeah.
And I'm very weird when it comes to that shit. People annoy me.
Well, I was trying to think, like, I've never...
I don't have any fucking friends.
I've never been in a situation where I was going to quit. Well, again, but here's the deal. Family is not friendship, and you know
Yes,
this,
I know that.
right? Like, because you can love somebody like family. It doesn't necessarily mean you like them, and you can be 99% of families are dysfunctional, which is why I tend to use that family reference when it comes to work, because when you work with people in intense, high-pressure environments very closely for extensive periods of time, that's a family dynamic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that is not necessarily
They
friends.
don't call it the work wife and the work husband for nothing.
Do you know that that's a thing now, and people are like very upset about it? That can be a conversation next week that we have.
Oh, you mean like HR's problem with it?
Bro,
My work husband?
It was a whole thing on the internet about how disrespectful that is. Oh my God.
Yeah, this guy used to work for me. Be like, that shoulder to cry on becomes a dick to ride on. You know, it's one of those things.
You know what? Well, there was our moment for this episode with Lenny. Lenny's always got one for him. Always got one for the road. Well, Len, I don't know that I've gotten anywhere with this conversation in terms of how to make it better, but I definitely have vented about it to all my strong, ambitious, aggressive,
Ladies.
yeah, ladies. I was trying to figure out some other, you know, adjectives that have been used to describe me. Don't back down and don't change because a man wouldn't. And I'm not trying to be an asshole about that, but to me, like, the qualities that we get looked down upon for, or the qualities that we have held against us, or that are kind of marks on our, you know, on our board, are the same qualities that define some of the best leaders, you know, when it comes to men or Fortune 500 CEOs.
It's a shame,
presidents.
but for women to get that same respect, they have to be, you know, above and beyond. They have to be, and some might construe that as what were all the adjectives you were using to describe yourself? Because I don't want to use any.
No, but Lenny, like, as machismo as you are,
not really.
I don't think that you would hold that against, like, I feel like that's an intimidation thing. I feel like for men, being they view being critiqued by a woman as being scolded by a woman. And when you process it that way, it's a sign of your immaturity and insecurity in yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was coming from a man, I think sometimes you can puff your chest up a little bit. Like you look at it as like it's constructive criticism. Whereas when a woman does it, it's bitching or, oh, like she just wanted to make me look bad. And it's like, no, motherfucker, I want you to be great. Like, I want you to be great. Why is it okay for a coach to curse your ass out? Why is it okay? You know what I mean? Like, and on top of that, I'm not your boss. I'm your peer. We're in this thing together. It's not my job to figure out the best way to motivate and manage you. That's your job, Len. As the owner of a company, it's your job to figure out the best way to get the most out of each of your employees.
Yep.
But it's not their job to figure that shit out when they're doing a team project, right? It's their job to perform at the best level they can and then to hold their teammates accountable to the same thing, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you know, if you're, like I said, if you're going to put in 110%, you expect everybody else to put in 110%, and that's what makes it great. That's what makes great things. That's the difference between good and great. Having a team that's all on the same page, working at the same level, is the difference between a good show and a great show.
Yes, facts.
And you see it with all the sitcoms. You know, you can't have sitcoms don't last if the cast isn't.
No, and there are some situations
together.
where they don't necessarily get along outside of that, but when they come to work, they check that shit at the door and they rise up, right? It's being professional. Like, just because you don't like the food somebody cooks, it's just figuring that out. And so to anybody watching right now, if you're dealing with those situations or listening in the workplace, you know what I mean? I can only suggest that if you find yourself in a funk every time you get criticized, critiqued, reprimanded, or if you mess up, if you're one of those people who's just your worst critic and you're hard on yourself, do not let it affect the rest of your performance from that moment on. I'm not saying don't think about it. I'm not saying don't leave and again try to figure out how you could have done it better, because that's what makes us all grow, right? We learn from our mistakes. But in that moment, you got to act like it didn't happen. You got to take it. Don't hem and haw and the rest of it, and don't be all in your feels and mad that somebody said it in front of this person or that person while you're working, right? When you leave, be mad about it. When you're in your car, when you've clocked out, when you're, whatever the case may be, and then address it. I say address it. If you feel somebody disrespected you, if you feel somebody came at you crazy, if you feel, there was a better way to handle that situation on their part, don't hold that in either, because then that'll have you, all worked up. You'll be, what is that called? Like, you're kind of like stewing, right? Like you're thinking about, they talked to me this way and blah, 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 like the next day and the day after.
Yeah, that's a big problem with this whole scenario is, once that person gets that feeling from you, they don't know how to change that. They don't, it might have been in a moment that you or I felt a certain way, but now that moment is what's going to stick out in their mind forever. It's like the whole making you cry thing. That's something that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
And we've had so much more than that.
Yeah.
But that moment sticks out of my mind. So that happens with people you're close with, working with, that, and you need to address that.
Yeah.
And say, hey, I'm sorry I was a nasty whatever.
Yeah.
But it's only because,
And Lenny, we've had many a fight since then. And I haven't necessarily cried. I'm just saying,
I get it.
So, but you're very right about that. And back to that HR conversation, though, y'all need to back up. You need to let people have conversations. I'm not saying let people put hands on you. That's not what I'm talking about. But there needs to be healthy discord. Like there needs to be healthy disagreement and conversation and conflict resolution and all of that. And if people feel that they cannot express those things, that's when you end up with the blow up, or that's when you end up with poor performance. Because, if you foster that communication between teammates where you can say what you need to say in the moment, and then you also are encouraged to come behind it and be like, listen, it may have had nothing to do with you. Those tears might have been something else, or that frustration, and that's on me to be woman enough in that situation to come and be like, yo, that had nothing to do with you, and I apologize. I had no right to take that out on you, and that takes a big person. But on the flip side of it, when it is about you, I need to be able to express it, and and it's taken just at
and
face
not hurt
value.
your feelings. Yeah,
it's taken at face. I just want you to be better because I know you can be better. Like the shit works in sports.
Yeah,
kids don't go to HR on their coaches in Little League.
Listen, how many times have you seen a high level athlete, gymnast, runner fall right in the middle of their routine? Trip on a hurdle.
Yeah.
You know what they do? They get up and they finish the fucking race, or they finish the routine, and they do it to their best of their ability.
Well, it's like Barry Bonds. You'd think if he could have struck out 3 times, but you think the next time he goes up, he's thinking he's going to strike out? No, he thinks, I'm going to hit a home run.
Yeah. It's
Sorry, it might not have been the best example, but
whatever.
But yes, it's we need to start teaching people that. And again, I'm not mad at feels. I'm not mad at being emotional and being hard on yourself and all of that. But there's another part of that, which is still being able to manage those emotions in the moment and get the job done.
Yeah, man the fuck up.
Yes, exactly. Man the fuck up, please.
All right, it's a wrap.
Yeah. Thank you for watching the ManTFUp podcast.
Or listening.
Oh, yeah. Just because we have the cameras, I always...
Yeah,
How weird is that I'm a radio person that makes their living off of people listening?
Yeah, I heard that conversation.
And I always just assume...
Remember when you used to be, you got a face for radio?
The first time I ever heard that, it took a second. I was like, wait a minute. Hold on now? That was just disrespectful. Anyway, listen, like, subscribe, share, follow, leave your comments. If you've got anything you think we should talk about, at Kimmy B Official, you can slide in the DMs at ManTFUp TV. If you see anything great on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook that sparks your interest and you're like, hey, they should have a conversation about this, we would love to see it. And we will see you next week.
And don't forget, if you want to email us, KimmyB at ManTFUpTV.com.
Yeah, that too.
Peace.